My ninja. What's going on, y'all? What's popping? What's popping? What's popping? Good morning. I'm excited to break into the rest of this book, honestly, because as I was reading this morning, y'all know the reading for today kicked off with talking about worry. And I literally talk about this all the time, y'all. It's actually wild. So, with that, I'm excited to dive in. I know we got one guest on the call today as well. If y'all could throw some fire emojis in the chat for Ms. Montanay Adams. She's an OG, triple OG, also a parent and member of the Parent Policy Council for my daughter's, the one I'm on for my daughter's school. She on for her children as well. She OG. So yeah, go ahead, real. I love that you're not shy. Go ahead, say what's up to the people. What's good?
Hey everyone.
Boom.
Thanks
If
for
you
the
could,
invite again.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Man, welcome, girl. Welcome.
I was about to say, let everybody know where you're from and what you got going on. We can't hear you though. You muted.
I said I'm here from Minnesota. You would like work wise? Okay, so I'm a child protection worker for Ramsey County. And yeah, thank you.
Hey, she's an OG. And when I looked at her Instagram, y'all, I was like, she be traveling just as much as us. Okay, I understand why we got along. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. But in that, yo, welcome to the family. Welcome to the book club. Appreciate you being here. We literally do this thing every Saturday, same Zoom, same time. We open it up at 10:30 and we just catch a vibe until about 10:45, 10:50 when everybody hops on. And so in that, today we are covering chapters 9 through 11, right, Marcus? All
Yep.
right, cool. Yeah, I looked at the thing today. You know what I'm saying? I was on point. We're gonna cover chapters 9 through 11 and just chop it up about it. The
Yeah, but
chapter's names. Go
just
ahead, Mike.
because you're new, and I know everyone else is really aware, but the book we're covering is The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. So, honestly, a lot of our conversations have been really powerful, and the discussions that have come from the principles that are really just re-emphasized from the Bible through Mr. Peele's writing. So it's actually been extremely amazing to like see you guys go through it and having the conversations that we've had so far in regards to how our positive thinking can influence every aspect, our belief, our faith, essentially establishes our course. And when you have the right thoughts, you develop the right actions, and the actions develop the right habits that develop the lifestyle you truly want. So I appreciate everybody hopping on. And we'll kick it off with whoever is the brave soul that wants to start our discussion. But yeah, as Mikhail said, it's chapter 9, which is how to break the worry habit, I believe. Yes. Yep. Chapter 9 is how to break the worry habit. Chapter 10 is the power to solve personal problems. It sounds dope when you say like I think they're called alliterations. Shout out English. And then 11, how to use faith in healing. How to break the worry habit, power to solve personal problems, and how to use faith in healing. Floor is open, whoever wants to pick us up.
I'll go ahead and go first. Ah, watch out. I'm brave. I'm brave as brave. Anyhow, I'm sorry, guys. I'm enjoying my breakfast that me and my daughter got together. It's pretty healthy too. So we trying to think different, or we are doing things different around here. We ain't trying. We do it. Anyhow, this book um is amazing because everything that these chapters touched on is something that either myself or my family is currently working on. Um, and I think the start of this book on chapter 9, it literally just says, you don't need to be a victim of worry. That worrying, we are not born with a worry habit, that we acquire it. And that right there just kind of like left me like in awe, only because that's true. You know, we ourselves cause so much issues when we worry, like because worrying can cause many forms of like illnesses that can lead to one illness after another. I do like the fact that he put the Anglo-Saxon word for worry is to choke, and that's kind of how you feel when you're in the midst of you worrying about the things that you have going on in your daily life. Or let me just out in my perspective, in my own experience, I feel like it kind of takes your breath away. Um, but he also says to practice emptying the mind daily, preferably at night with a prayer. Um, and I am currently in my own journey of trying to, or not trying, of doing these things, you know, morning, noon, midday, brunch, afternoon. I am constantly praying, even if it's just talking. When I have a negative thought or when I think of something of my financials that really put a chokehold on me, um, it helps. It helps to relieve those worries and to bring. He states to refill it with faith, hope, courage, and expectancy. Um, and faith can always overcome your fear. You know, the more that you lean on your faith, the more that your faith grows. The more that you lean on His will and His understanding versus your own, like a stop. So this chapter it was really something that I needed to read because I have a lot of this going on right now in my own personal life where I'm having to rely. I've never relied or incorporated faith as much as I have recently. And it just says so empty the mind and cauterize it with God's grace and practice filling your mind with faith, and you will break the worry habit. Believe in it because you can do anything, especially with God. And I've learned to lean on relying on our higher power. So chapter 9 was it. Chapter 10, the power to solve personal problems. The example that the book gave about the husband having all the experience that he needed to get this job position um, that he honestly thought that he was going to get um, just because of his credentials and the amount of history that he's been at his job, just to in turn them hire somebody who's outsourced, who hasn't been with the company. Um, I've been put in that situation before. I've had that situation done before. And I definitely am not, I was not where I am with my mindset. And I definitely displayed the anger and the animosity that this man's wife had because she felt her husband deserved it. So I definitely resonated with that. Um, yeah. um, so it animosity. It's he states in the book that it corrodes the soul, um, but it also just organizes our thought process. Like it's crazy to me how our minds work. And you know, I've had Marcus for years. You know, being the psychology major that he's done, it's crazy to me that everything that he's said thus far is literally in books that we read. Um, and the simple things that we can turn to, the free things that we can turn to, like God in our faith and our community. because, in the Bible, he also put this verse, Matthew 18:20, where two or three are gathered together in your name, there I am in the midst of them. And that is so, so powerful. Um, this is why I feel our Bible studies are super important for me personally. Um, and if I cannot be focused and sitting down, um, really into the Bible study, I don't feel like I'm getting the most out of it. But I go back and I remind myself of that verse, it doesn't take a whole room full of people. It literally says where two or three are gathered. He is there. He's here anywhere. You know what I mean? So just adding God as a partnership is a way to solve some problems. Um, Marcus has taught our family to don't focus on the problem, that we need to focus on a solution to the problem and not focus on what we're actually going through. And that has definitely helped our family get over a lot of our obstacles. Um, and it just, I don't know, people think like our family is weird in how we operate, but they are so of this world. It's crazy because they don't see the benefits it takes for us to, when we have an issue, guess what we're going to do? We're going to sit and we're going to conversate about it. We're going to solve the issue and figure it out, because one, having forgiveness is biblical. Not holding a grudge is biblical. And if we're trying to do this walk with, or if we're doing this walk with God, not trying. I'm so glad I keep catching myself. So this is big for me, guys. Um, it's something that I thank God for every day, because if y'all would have known our family uh, back in the day, it's night and day. Yeah, night and day. So anyhow, power of solving problems is having faith will do anything in solving your problems. If you have small faith, you're going to have small results. If you have big faith, you're going to have big results. The work is on you. So, chapter 10 was really good too. Chapter 11, it has to do with science, and I'm not a big science person like Marcus is. So I had to reread a few of these things a few times, only because what it was saying in the book on how to use faith in healing, um, I know I do that already. I just didn't know the depths of faith and science together. Um, but I wrote down a few notes, and I put faith properly understood and applied is a powerful factor in overcoming disease and establishing health. I put in quotations. It is the doctor, the Vietnamese doctor that is described in this chapter. He uses the statement, the unseen hands of God. And my mind was just like, wow, yep. I was like, this is so true, because, honestly, he feels with his faith and with his operations or his surgeries that he does, that makes the operation successful. And we've had prayer chains, we've had, people come together when some of our family has been super ill, who have been in the hospital, and it's been I don't know, my mind is kind of like going at 100 right now, because he brings up these miracles with what faith can do and what it does is it creates these miracles. And I know that these miracles are still done today, which he performed back in the Bible. We've had my sister-in-law, who I know is nothing sort of a miracle. And it makes me emotional because she she got super sick when COVID was strong, and it took her down. Like my brother-in-law, Zach's brother, this is his wife. Uh, he wanted me to go and visit her, and I don't know why I assumed that she was good, like she was awake. I didn't know details of the way or the severity of what it was. Um, but when I walked in, she was literally with a tube down her throat. They had her on her stomach. The ventilator was breathing for her. And literally, I got scared. I got scared because I didn't know. I didn't know what to, I did not expect that at all. And I just remember praying. And I remember calling my mom because my mom she's a devout Catholic. She's a Guadalupana. She's got tons of ladies who pray. And I just told my mom, Mom, please pray for her. We didn't know. I didn't know she was on the verge of losing her life like that. And God performed a miracle because she is alive, healthy. She has some issues using her muscles and her arm, and but yeah, the doctors didn't think she was going to make it at all. And she's thriving, guys. She's making earrings. She's holding her own business. Like, I believe in miracles. And I believe that that's got a lot to do with the faith in healing. So we find healing in Jesus Christ. I'm going to leave it at that. So thank y'all, guys. I'm sorry for getting emotional about that. But all right. Whoever wants to go, do you want popcorn? Did everybody read? Thank y'all. All right, Amber, you can go if you want to go. Ah, okay.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Mama Mary, for being so vulnerable and sharing your story. I feel really powerful.
Amber, you're choppy.
That girl just hit Butte,
I'm
Texas.
happy. Oh.
I think you're good now. Just turn off your Wi-Fi just in case.
Can y'all hear me?
Now we can. Perfect.
Can you hear me? All right. Let me stop yelling. Did y'all hear me say thank you to Mama Mary 100 times right now?
Yes, we heard that. We appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, so I'm looking at my notes on my phone, and the only person I can see is Marcus. So, what's up? Okay. Chapter 9, how to break the habit of worry. One of the first key points that I got was that worrying is a habit and habits can be broken. And so the way that I like to look at habits is like, um, well, your habits make up your life, like literally, like your habits make up your whole entire life. And so like to be aware that worrying is a habit and to know that you can break that habit, is relieving. But also too, like committing to breaking the habit of worrying, like being aware that like when you worry and being conscious with it and like watching yourself worrying and understanding that worrying isn't doing anything for you. And to me, like it says you can break the worry of a habit by emptying your mind daily and filling it with faith. So um I like that point, like it says like emptying your mind and filling it with faith. And so like one thing that we learned, we keep talking about faith, and like faith is a state of mind, right? So faith is believing in the things that are unseen. So filling your mind with faith. And to me, the way that I feel like I think about this habit is I like it goes back to me reminding myself of who I am. Um, I know that I'm a powerful creator. I believe that I'm a powerful creator. I believe that the power of God is within me. So I can't worry, because worrying is thinking and putting energy towards something that I don't want. And that goes against what I believe in, what we practice. So don't worry. um so that's the way like I think about worrying. Like whenever I worry about something, I have to stop myself. And even right now, like in the past couple of days, there's like a situation like at work, like very like everything's fine at the end of the day. But like had found myself like feeling anxious, like worrying, being like, oh my gosh, what does this person think? Or like what happened? Or I, feel bad about the situation. But at the end of the day, I'm like, there's nothing I could do about the situation anymore. It's past. All is well. Like we just have to move on from it. And I have found myself even the past couple of days just like thinking about it longer than I should have, like worrying, being like, oh, I hope they're not mad at me, or hope whatever, you know what I mean? But there's really nothing that you can.
I was like, dude, I couldn't see her, but I could definitely hear her clearly. She's back though. She's back. Can you hear us, Amber?
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know what happened. It
or just
just
like
It
disappear.
disappeared a little boop boop. You know what I'm
you were
saying? It
spitting
disappeared.
some fire, and they were like, "Hold
I
on,"
know, and then we came back.
but you're back
Um,
now. We can hear you. Go
okay, well,
ahead.
let's not worry about that. Okay, moving on. Second point. Fear attracts exactly what you don't want. Yeah. So there's this meme around social media that I always see like on Instagram and stuff, and it's like people make fun of, they're like, oh, if fear attracts everything, like I'm so scared of $1 million. And whenever I was like learning these principles, I would I would get frustrated by that meme, because I'm like, they're not even understanding what they're saying. It's not that you're afraid of $1 million, but it's the fact that when you fear something, you are putting so much energy, thought, word towards something that you are creating. That is what I don't know why I keep disappearing. But maybe if I drive away from this area.
Hey, try force closing all the apps on your phone.
Yeah,
And
that's just
her phone just does not want her to be
Okay.
great right now. She's spitting fire. Her
It's
phone
just
just straight
because
up does not want her to be great.
it's so fire that I just can't even take it. It's like, no, you're gonna have too many people, and then they're not gonna waste stuff. Anyways, I'm just talking. Okay, well, real quick, can y'all hear me? Can you
Yes, we
hear
can.
me?
We can hear you, Amber.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. All right. Fear attracts exactly what you don't want. And again, why? Why does fear attract exactly what you don't want? Because you put energy, words, and thought to that, and you're a powerful creator no matter what. So if you fear it, you're using your power to create it, like no matter what. So again, to me, that goes back to understanding like who you are and knowing that whatever you think about is going to expand, like it's going to focus on no matter what. So really, you should just be thinking about like how can I make all my dreams come true? And honestly, if you want to fear anything, be afraid of being broke, because can't do that. Okay. Key point number 3, replace worry with practical faith-based techniques. So filling up your mind, meditating, um, just taking some time to really pause and like be aware of yourself whenever you are feeling anxious, negative, fear, worrying, and just pausing and like becoming aware of that yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, I'll be 100% honest with y'all. Yesterday, I like used ChatGPT to to help me work through some emotions because I was like, because what happened was I was at home and I wasn't hungry, but I wanted to eat, and I knew that I was just bored and I wasn't like, and so I was like, let me talk this out with my friend ChatGPT. And I don't know what I said. I mean, the conversation was me just like being for real, being like, okay, I know I'm not hungry, but I want to eat right now. But I know that I shouldn't. But what could I if I did? And I like to solve my problems, which goes into um chapter 10, the power of solving personal problems. Every problem contains its own solution if approached with faith. I truly believe that we have the power to solve every single problem that we have. And I personally believe in using the power of our resources around us. Yes, the power of God. Like, yes, having the faith in knowing that you have the resources available. And I do. And I believe that we all should, because we have abundant resources to us. And at the end of the day, even if we didn't have these particular resources, like even if AI didn't exist, um, like we have the power of God within us, which is everything, right? Which is all that is. So literally, I mean, the only way AI came about was because we had a problem and needed a solution collectively over and over and over again. And it like created because of what we needed, to be honest. I mean, that's how things create. Um, and so key point, every problem contains a solution, every single one. And so sometimes, I mean, if y'all have heard me on the Powerful Creator calls, like if I'm listening to a problem and, I'm empathetic with someone, I'm helping them move through that process. At the end of the day, though, like, if we keep talking about the problem, like, I'll cut it and I'll really go there. I'm like, are you going to die? Are you going to die? Like, because at the end of the day, like, there is a solution. And if you are stuck, if you're committed to not um, solving it, then you're so powerful, you won't. And you will die. Like, if you're not growing, you're dying. So, might as well live. All right. Prayer unlocks creative thinking and inner wisdom. I know in the chapter it had said like to let it go, like to go to church and just not think about whatever problem that you're having. And like whenever you are doing like spiritual practices, it like allows you to be like more creative and stuff. And so it says prayer gives you a calmness and clarity that allows God to drop answers in your mind. I truly, truly believe that. I feel like we talk about that in Powerful Creator all the time. This clearly, like this says it very, very clearly. Um, and I really believe that. Like I remember even how I got introduced to this community was by doing that. Like I had a problem and I knew I needed to be around community. I knew I needed leadership. I knew I needed guidance. And I knew that if I trusted God that he would um give me the answer. So I like put out what I wanted, took a deep breath, let it go. And then the thought came into my mind to call Marcus. And then bada bing, bada boo, we're here. And so like really like I know I was talking to someone else too, and they were telling me like about a problem, and I was like, the best thing that you could do today is stop thinking about it. I'm like, you can't do anything today anymore. Like literally today, like the next couple hours, like you can't do nothing. So like the best thing that you could do for yourself is stop thinking about it because you're gonna keep worrying. You're gonna like you're not in a problem solving mode right now. So you gotta let it go so you can get there. You can allow that vibration to ease of anxiety, of fear, whatever, because we have emotions. Like we're not perfect. We're gonna go through things and we're not going to have, like it's really difficult in the moment to do a lot of these practices that we're talking about. And that's why you keep doing them over and over and over again. Because like what Jim Rome says, it doesn't get easier. You just get better. You just get better at doing it. Get better at becoming aware of yourself. Like yesterday when I wanted to eat the hot Cheetos in the middle of the night, like it's not like I didn't want to do that. Like craving is still there. I just knew better. I've just been enough amount of times where I'm like, probably shouldn't do that because the amount of times I have woken up with my stomach hurting. Okay. Let me move on to chapter 11, how to use faith in healing. Your mind and body are deeply connected. Faith can trigger healing. And then it talked about visualization activating healing forces. It says, when the mind is filled up with faith and hope, the body responds with strength and vitality. I truly, truly believe that. I truly believe in the power of vibration and and like the way that you think about yourself. Like, to be honest, I feel like with my body personally right now, I feel like the best thing that I am doing for myself is that I no longer view myself as not enough. I no longer view myself as not healthy, as not, but I'm not doing anything special. Like, yeah, I'm drinking water. I exercise, I walk, I take care of myself, but I'm not like super freaking fit like every single day, all day, like, but I do know the biggest difference between me and even like 5 years ago, a couple years ago, I don't view myself as needing to be different or needing to be anything different than what I am to be worthy or to feel good or to feel beautiful or anything. And I know that, and I genuinely feel that's made like a dramatic difference in just like the results and in how I feel, how I view myself, how I treat myself, like even in how I physically look, to be honest. Because I know even a couple years ago, like I look back at pictures of myself and I looked beautiful, but I remember at the time I did not think that. Like I did not think that at all. You could not tell me that. Like I remember at the time feeling horrible, feeling ugly, feeling whatever. And so like it didn't matter how hard I worked out or all the physical things that I did if my mindset inside wasn't there. Like it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go no matter what. So um I believe whenever you visualize and like you really see the thing that you want in your mind crystal clear when it comes to your body, to your desires, to your bank account, to your relationships, that's how you create. And visualization is one of my favorite tools to use. I have a very strong imagination, so like it's easier for me to start to like see things. Okay, last point, and I am complete. Faith acts as a spiritual medicine. When you believe in God's healing power, you cooperate with divine forces that restore health. And so, yeah, just I believe that, and from what not just what I believe, but like from what this book has triggered in my mind to like remind me of and like help me deepen my belief is the fact that like I believe that we were all supposed to be abundantly healthy at all times. And I've learned um that any like illness that is like in our body, any disease that is going on in our body, there's a root belief towards that. And when you get to and honestly, root the root belief to any disease, any fear is that I'm not enough. And when you can get clear on that, like literally you can really heal yourself. You can heal like anything in your body, with faith the size of a mustard seed. Like truly, you know? And so that's what I got from these chapters. Thanks for listening, guys. Y'all are the best. And thanks for bearing with me through my technical difficulties. Um, all right. Let's see. Roshizi. Roshizi.
It's easy. Thanks for sharing, guys. Um, so I um didn't read these chapters, but I will give my uh little 2 cents on what I heard, and I skimmed a little bit while I was listening. And first of all, I just want to say, Mary, thank you for sharing. You know, when you were talking about that story, it reminded me of my dad passed from COVID, and I didn't even get to go visit him. My siblings didn't tell me that he was even sick till after he died. Um, so that's a thing, the thing. But yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, that touched me. Um, so let's see. Chapter 9, How to Break the Worry Habit. When I think about like anxiety, it stems from fear, you know. I heard somewhere that there are two major emotions, fear and love, and every other emotion and feeling stems from those, right? So anxiety stems from fear. And like fear, I've also heard that fear is the absence of faith. And I believe in that. I actually brought that up because we did a whole Bible study series at my church about anxiety. And it was like 4 weeks long. It was really good. And like I brought it up to my pastor and I was like, fear is the absence of faith. And he was like, kind of, it could be. And then he said some real deep stuff that I chewed on for a while. But I really do believe in that fear is the absence of faith because like if I have faith in God and faith in myself or faith in whatever it is that I want or believe in, then like fear can't exist in that space, you know? Um, and like for me, it talks more about faith, I think, in the other chapters, but they all kind of relate to each other. Um, I'm gonna save that part for well, no, I'll just say it now. So like, I don't know, faith to me is hard to describe. Like it's not something that I can verbalize very well. It's just faith, having faith. You know, and like when I think about like so I have a clinically diagnosed anxiety disorder, right? And my anxiety is not as bad as it used to be. But I used to have really bad anxiety. And like I've learned to stop having so much anxiety because I've just learned to have acceptance. Like I accept what is, you know? It is what it is. And like um also admitting like my powerlessness in certain areas or lack of control, you know? Like I don't have any control over that or any power over that, so I let it go. Which is like a lot easier said than done, but like that's the process, you know? And then after giving that surrender and that acceptance, you know, like having faith. So I can't think of an example off the top of my, well, yes, I can. Okay, so I just went through like a really tough financial era in my life, and I came through on the other side of it, you know. But when I was in that situation, I could have let my anxiety take over. Like I got this letter in the mail saying that if I don't pay this amount, they're gonna come repo my car. And it did freak me out because I was like, y'all can't come and take my car. I need that. And also, if they take my car, it's going to cost so much more money than I already owe them to get it back, you know, which is like that thing when your bank account goes negative and they charge you late fees. Like, why are you charging somebody more money when they don't have money in the first place? But I didn't let the anxiety take me over. I was just like, no, they're not going to take my car. They can't. They won't. And I just told myself that. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get this money to pay this bill, but I'm going to get it. It's just the idea that I said it out loud and I believed in it, you know? And like, same thing, I got an eviction notice in the mail, which I was like, what the actual F? Like, because I was already working on getting assistance to have that paid. I thought the check was already mailed out for my rent. So like why am I getting this eviction notice? But again, I didn't let the anxiety take over. I just like, you know, that this is what it is. I give it like I gave it to God. Like it's really not my problem. That's just not my problem. That's my shit. You know, and so I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, just like here's the absence of faith. So like I don't, you know, and like I think Amber was talking about it that we have emotions and we're going to because we're human and we're not perfect. Like, you know, we talked about this when we read emotional intelligence. Like our feelings and emotions are just a physiological response to what happens to us and what we experience. So it's normal and it is what it is. But having that emotional intelligence to be able to like not let the emotion run me is the important part. So, you know, sometimes I still get anxiety, like my chest gets heavy and I can't breathe, you know? I get sweaty or I just my mind races. My mind races all the time. And I'm working on like calming that down because that stuff is it's a lot to deal with, you know? like praying and meditating though is really helpful, and just talking with people, writing, all the things. So, chapter 10, power to solve personal problems. My new thing that I like to say, it's not that new, I've been saying it, but one of my favorite things to say is, as much as I'm the problem, I'm also the solution. Um, because like Amber too, believe in the God power within me. So I'm like, any problem that I create, I can solve by tapping into that power. And I really want to read this. I'm so interested to see what it says because I don't I'm just going off the titles, but I think I highlighted something. So it's really interesting that this talks about in this chapter taking the idea of taking God in as a partner. Because, like, I promise you, I did not read this until just right now. And last night I was in the shower. I love to like sit and meditate in the shower. And so I was in the shower and I was thinking about my relationships with people, like specifically my romantic relationships, and how like I'm going through a I'm single and I'm not seeing nobody and I don't want to. And like it's the happiest I've ever been being single. And I was thinking about how um the only partnership that I want to focus on right now is with God, because I feel like um I can't do anything without God. Like I can't, do what I want to do in this life. I feel like I was having some conversations earlier this week where I was asking for some people's feedback on this situation with a thing in my life. And these people were like telling me their opinions and perspectives. And it's not that I didn't like what they were telling me, because I heard them out, I understood them. I just felt like they didn't know. I kind of felt like they were projecting their own stuff onto me, and I felt like they didn't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't make sense unless I explain the details, but I'm gonna save that story for another time. Essentially, I prayed and meditated on this thing, and I came to my answer, like through that. And I was still talking to people about it because I wanted people's feedback. And then they told me the opposite of the decision that I decided to make. Like they told me, no, don't do that. But I decided I'm going to do that based on my prayer and meditation. Okay. That makes sense. So, I trust God and I trust myself. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say about anxiety and fear, or just worry, is that like if I'm worrying, I'm not trusting God. I'm like taking my own will into my hands and like, I'm worried because it's not gonna go my way. And it's like it doesn't matter what way it goes because it's gonna go God's way, no matter what. But anyway, so I decided that I trusted God and I trusted my decision that I made, with God on this thing in my life. And so I just kind of like I didn't disregard their opinions and feedback. I just took it for what it was. So I don't know. And I think it's a good decision. Like that's a different story, but the book um refers to taking God, the idea of taking God in as a partner, and I've been thinking about that. So like just alignment, you know what I'm saying? That's what that means to me. I'm in alignment, and that's great. How to use faith in healing? I feel like how do you not have faith in healing? Or how do you not use faith in healing? Like I have to have faith that I'm gonna be able to heal and to get better. Um, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but um, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but I guess Mary talked about this, having the science and the faith, and this just reminds me of a story Mikhail told me one time about, I think it was your father-in-law or something like that was sick. Mikhail went to go talk to him and like talk him out of his sickness, and he was okay. And I was like, wow, look at that. Um, I believe in that. Like, if I'm terminally ill, which I never have been, and thank God I won't be. But if I was, like I have to have faith that I'm gonna get through it and I'm gonna get better. Otherwise, I don't know what else to say about that. That's pretty self-explanatory to me. Um, so that's all. I feel like I've been talking for hours. Anastasia, okay.
Wait, Sharif said she
Milo?
can. I
Oh,
can
Sharice.
I can add some input to that. So I haven't read it, but I clearly need to. Um, I am one of those people that know that God can do the impossible. He can move every mountain, but I have a perfectionist issue and a control issue. And I feel like the only one that's going to do my life better than me is me. And then I have to remind myself that God does my life better than me. Um, Unfortunately, life constantly keeps happening and reinforcing the old beliefs that I've had, where I'm going to never be good enough and I'm never going to get this and I'm never going to get that. And then my faith gets strong again. And then I realize that I can do all of it again and that it is for me and that I am worth it. But my grandfather used to have a saying that there's no reason to worry twice, and I never really understood it until I got older. But I really struggle with the constant worry. I put it aside, I give it to him, I take it back. I put it aside, I give it to him, I take it back. So I'm really going to work harder on releasing some of my worries so that I can actually enjoy the now, which I'm not seemingly able to do right now. Uh, and I know how blessed I am, and I know that it could be so much worse. But I for some reason, I can't stop worrying about the future, and I'm tired of worrying about the future. So with that, I thank you to everybody who's been sharing. Mama Mary, you're amazing, and I'm gonna definitely pick up that book and start doing it, doing the deed. Oh, I got one more thing to say. What you want, girl? I've been asking for signs. Give me a sign. Give me a sign of my direction. Give me a sign of which way I'm supposed to be going. And Mikkel gave me a huge sign last night. And I want to say thank you because you were so inspiring. It was actually the first time I heard the pitch, like the actual pitch, in I guess in 6 months, because I never really got pitched, and it really kind of felt like, okay, here's my sign. So I want to say thank you for that excitement that I haven't felt in a really long time. So
Aww.
so what do you pick the person next?
Go for it. Choose Cam.
Cam the man.
That's wild. You straight up say, yeah, choose Cam. Choose Cam. What's good, y'all?
You're welcome.
Happy Friday. Happy Saturday. Um, this so I haven't read the book, but I feel like I can give this insight simply for the fact that I've been the person multiple different times in a position where everyone is terrified of losing me specifically due to how many heart surgeries I've had. So something that my dad told me in my sixth surgery and then in my seventh surgery, when I was so ready to, like, straight up raw reality, I was straight up ready to call it on all of life. All of life. I was good. I was done. And my dad kind of put this in perspective for me. And yes, he kind of chewed he kind of chewed my tail. I'm gonna put it like that because he wanted me to really see what life has for you here. And he asked me this simple question, and it checked me at my soul. What makes you think that you're not worth it when God literally gave up his entire son for you? Why are you being so selfish to think that you're not worth it when God gave up a faultless person, did no wrong on this planet, did everything right? And everything you've done wrong in your life, you think you're not worthy of continuing on. But here's the reality. You're still here. On top of that, why are you tripping about the future when God already has it set in stone? All you have to do is walk the process. All you got to do is walk the process. So those two questions really helped me kind of get this perspective of two, like, it's a phrase that I love because my pastor brought it to me one day. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. And that's in everything you do. In everything you do, just like, I'm worried about this. Stop. I got to let that go and let God handle it. Real life. So Steve Harvey said this as well. Don't trip. He ain't through with you yet. And as real as it is, the problems are going to come. The issues and the headaches and the life is going to come. Let it. Let it. Simply put, let that happen. Why? Because at the end of it, what do you think is on the other side of it? Success or another failure story? And let's be 110% honest. Marcus and Mikhail have been imprinting this in our heads for, I don't know, the better part of a year and a half. You don't fail. You fail forward. You never really failed because you didn't lose. It's that simple. It's really that simple. So in your lowest of lows and in your highest of highs, let go and let God. Remember that you are here for a reason. And he's not through with you yet. He's not. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. That's all I really want to say. Cause like I could get into multiple spiels and I could get into the aspect of like what it's like on the other side being a because like full disclosure, my 7th surgery was COVID time. So it was a very, very tough time. And I couldn't they wouldn't even let my pastor in to see me. But my pastor she is a straight up woman of God. She is as Amber likes to say it, she is a powerful creator. And she don't play about her people. So there was a day, and it was the day before surgery, and she's like, yeah, he's not going into surgery unless I'm in there to pray for him beforehand. I'm telling you that right now. And they legit had to go through like 7 different doctors and like the manager of this establishment that was going to originally do my surgery. And then they finally let her in. She prayed. All of a sudden, they're about to send me into the hall. They're about to send me onto the bed to go ahead and get this 7th surgery started. They stop. They're like, wait, no, we can't do this here. We need to transfer you to the Mayo Clinic. All of a sudden, instead of a surgery that was going to take about 19 hours, took about 8 hours, and I was up walking after this surgery the next day. Not just regular walking, taking laps around this area, fresh after a major surgery that a lot of people don't really make it through. So, all that being said, whatever you are going through in this life, it's already dealt with. It's already dealt with. All you have to do is, as much as you believe in yourself, believe in that. Believe that God gave you the capabilities, the mind, and the power to just go get it done. Because I'm going to be frank with y'all, because everybody on this call knows me for being raw and real. I legit just yesterday moved my entire house into a storage unit, just me and my girl. No help, no assistance, nothing. And I'm not supposed to lift more than 25 pounds. Keep that in mind. Did that all by myself. I know I could have asked for help, but something told me that this time it's time for me to go my own, because there's nothing like having your own. And as real as it is, as hard as it was, the work got done in one trip. You know how you go into the grocery store and you're like, yeah, I'm finna one man trip these groceries up? Yeah, we did that with our entire house. And both of our kids at the same time. So you can do anything. Everybody on this call, hear me crystal clear. You can do anything and everything you want in this life, as long as it abides within the law. Emphasis on that. As long as it abides within the laws of the United States of America or wherever you're at, you can do whatever you want in this life. Just make sure it's legal. There ain't nothing in this life stopping you besides you. I'll put it like this. I dare somebody to tell me otherwise. I dare somebody to tell me otherwise. Because I'm the type of person that, and Mikhail can vouch, you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna go do it, and then I'm gonna laugh at you as it's being done. I'm definitely that person. Gotta go get wipes. So that's all I really wanted to say. I'm not really like an inspiration type of person or a motivation. Nah, it's just simply put, it's really just get out your feelings. There ain't no money there, and God's really not there. He's telling you to go, man. You got stuff to do. You don't have time to be caught up in the emotional aspect of what's going on in this life. You really don't. Life is already short as it is. You don't know when your last day is going to be. So be thankful, be grateful, appreciate everything that you get in this life, and give more than you get. I love y'all, but that's all I got to say. I got to go get wipes for my kids, so I'm still listening. Uh, I'm I'm not sure if Sam has gone, but I'll call on you next.
Yo, I appreciate you all sharing. I appreciate it. All love. And man, happy Saturday, y'all. It's a lot of what y'all have said has been resonating with me. Starts from Mama Mary to Amber's great insight to Roshizi talking about anxiety, because man, anxiety has been it. I've been in its grasp lately and it's been heavy. So, you know, um, so this book is just it's just right in tune with what it seems like a lot of us are going through, or a lot of us have gone through. And you know, we're just to keep it in line, we're talking about how much love how we kicking the worry habit. And it's either we're operating with what we believe and what we see true to our vision, or worried about the unknown and the fear of uncertainty in our lives. And when we're dealing with the hormones of stress, it's very hard to see the possibilities. It's very hard to operate in love and trust, and be open to learning when our fight or flight is triggered. You know, if you're walking down a path and you see a mountain lion, I mean, your fight or flight's going to get triggered, and it's going to be very hard to see the possibilities when we're operating out of fear. And just majority of people, they go their whole lives without this intentional relationship that each one of us on this call have created and have sought out. And the self-awareness that we all individually have, and then bring it to a collective is truly powerful. And it's it's more important than anything you could have in your bank account, any commas you could have, because this is the intentional relationships that create the experiences that cause us to grow in our lives. And that is the most important thing. It's the most fulfilling thing. You know, so to attest to what it is that would help us, it's really just consciousness. It's the intentional consciousness that we choose to operate from. Because, especially everyone on this call, we have read books, we have poured into our personal development, mental health as well, and we know things. We've peeked behind the curtains, we understand, and it's clear to us how we need to operate. And I forgot who mentioned it, but the routine of it all, Amber, I believe it was Amber talking about how Jim Rohn, it doesn't get easier, we just get better in repetition through it all. And these are just the intentional relationships that we keep around us to keep us heading in the right direction. And so I owe a lot to all of y'all, and I appreciate every single one of y'all because life forces us to face ourselves. I've done a lot of shadow work in the past, and it's we leave traces in our lives, and if you don't take a conscious decision to look back and see the traces that you have left, life will force you to look at it. Life will force you to face the the fruits that you've been sowing in your life, and if it's not good, God will correct you. God will God will shed everything you have built for yourself because that's not what he intended to have built for your life. And when you move and you understand and realize, because y'all, recently I have been very aware of how God's hand has been played in my life, and it's very evident. And anxiety has been killer lately. Like when Ro, you said that feeling in your chest, like that has been chronic. It's no joke. It's real life, y'all. So just going through things in my life, I make it an intentional time to just pray and just reach out to my God and thank him for the strength that I have, that I am allowed to lean on, because I understand that in my weakness I am my strongest, because it is not my strength that I lean upon. And it takes intentional work, and that's exactly what we're doing. That's why I appreciate these calls. That's why I appreciate just always showing up and just holding on, man, because I have full faith that these intentional moments, these intentional relationship, these intentional thoughts that we are all having is what life's all about, truly, diving into yourself. So, we if we think of our mind, like, I'm a very visual person. If we think of our mind like a bandwidth, like how like Wi-Fi works, it's when if we're clogging up our CPU of our brain, sorry to be so nerdy with y'all, but if we're just loading our bandwidth with just poor judgment, social media, binging Netflix, listening to bad music, everything, it's taking up all the space in our minds that we are not giving to intentionality, that we are just using so much energy, so much wasted brain power in worrying about the unknown and being and fearing the uncertain and fearing the unknown, rather than just choosing to operate out of the faith that we all have, and letting go and let God, just letting go and let God, and having full faith and belief. And man, personally, man, I've been oh man, it's hard to say, y'all, but I love y'all. you know I'm not I'm an all-in type of person, and I feel, you know man, Pastor Brad said in this last sermon, he said, when we're shameful, we turn away to God. God never turns away from us. God never forsakes us. we are the ones that turn away from him because we feel shameful, but that's when we need him the most. And I have felt very shameful asking for God's help when I was not living a life aligned with what I knew God wanted me to live. So just that intentional time and intentional focus of drawing, creating, and strengthening my relationship with God to not feel shameful in my moments of weakness to ask for his strength. So it's change is change. Change is not talking about the change. Change is not wanting the change. Change is not praying for the change. Change is the change. Work is the work. So, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all always giving me the time to speak, and I appreciate every one of y'all's insights. And just know that this is exactly what it takes. This intentional time that we take out of our Saturdays, even being once a week, I encourage y'all to, take the time on our own because that's when the breakthroughs happen. Formal education can make you um a career, but personal education can make you a fortune. It takes you that intentional time on your own to really get that fulfilling feeling through all of this. So, we could sit here and say I won't worry, for the all week, and then and I'll wait till the next book club to hear these beautiful words of these from these all of these beautiful people. But it really is way more fulfilling when you just do it yourself. So I'll leave it at that. I love y'all. Um, I know Imani's at work, so I would love to call Imani. Again, I appreciate every single one of y'all, but I believe she is caught up. So if I could pass this to Mikhail, if you would be, or whoever's ending it, whoever wants to go first, Mikhail or Marcus. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
And we love you too, Sam. Appreciate you, man, keeping the faith through everything you're going through, P. So I appreciate everybody's outlook today. It's honestly been an amazing book club. All of a sudden, I just got really cold and my nose started itching crazy. So God gonna heal that too. I'll be smooth in about 30 minutes. But real life, these three chapters are something serious. Hence all of the people who have shared today. It's been something serious. Hey, Money, if you are good to go, you can go. No, she ain't good to go. She working. All right, cool. Yeah, it's all good. I can tell with the eyebrows. I was like, yeah, she in the game right now. No thing. But nah, real life, I love you guys, man. And I appreciate everybody. I appreciate this entire book club. I appreciate everybody taking the time to really listen to everybody as well and everybody's take. We literally sacrifice our Saturday mornings to be here. I was telling Cam because he just called me. He's drumming at my church tomorrow, which is lit. But in that he was at rehearsal. He played when I was gone too. They loved it. It was fire. We the black guys. Honestly, I think they paid me for that Sunday because I definitely only played 2 Sundays and they must have got us confused. But in that though, sorry for the random tangent, but he called me earlier and he was like just getting out of rehearsal and I was like, dang, they be done by right now. Like low key, I probably could make it to rehearsal, but I legit haven't gone to rehearsal in 3, almost 4 years because of this book club. Like I don't put anything above this time. I shut my door. My wife knows, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the office. I'm in tune, focused on growth, focused on my people. It's a real live intention and it's real live programming for yourself. And so in that, as I was reading these three chapters, and it was dope that as people were talking, they literally brought up examples of how I've like told a story or actually been in tune with what the book was talking about. But those stories, honestly, they hit different, y'all. It's kind of crazy. To real quick just start at the end because Roshizi brought this up. That story I told her about my dad, that was back in December or excuse me, in July. I'm tripping. But in that, it was literally when like all of a sudden I got a 911 text from my mom because dad was sick. And 911 ain't good when you get a 911 text from your mom. It don't say nothing but 911. That means book a flight, get your ass here as soon as possible. So I did. Flew out there, pull up. My father is low key. They're saying that my man's might not make it this week type vibe. And I walked in there and I was like, dude, what's wrong with you? We ain't got no time for this. Ain't nobody got no time for you to be dying, nigga. Like, what we talking about here? I was just being very real. Me and him had a whole talk with God. We had a whole talk together. I was like, Dad, like, come on, man. What you need, some candy? Like, get your ass up out of this bed, bro. It's all good. And we gonna make it, period. And as he literally talked about in the book, I just real life, one, I saw my dad moving and grooving on July 4th when it was July 1st. And I was sitting there looking at him with a feeding tube in his throat. And I'm like, yo, nah. You know what I'm saying? We finna be popping fireworks by the end of this week. You're gonna be gravy, period. And in that, it just took some real live intentionality of just being a different piece of the environment that changed everything. All of a sudden, the doctors started moving different. My mom started moving different. My brother started moving different. And you could tell just by being a person of faith and coming into a situation where everybody is worrying, you can tell how you literally elevate the temperature in the room. It's honestly really amazing, truly. So that part was huge for me. I appreciate you bringing up that story because I honestly completely spaced and forgot about it as I was reading this chapter. I've honestly been so inner focused on my own life and everything that I've been healing through my own body that shoot, I be like real life in I think it was chapter 11, maybe it was chapter 12, but he talked about like the inner power that you really have when things get really crazy. And that was a moment for me because I feel like the one person in my life who's actually seen this evident the most is literally Marcus and my wife. And truly it's because I talk to them all the time. And when shit goes crazy in my life, them the people I call, you know what I'm saying, to like get my brain on back on straight. And it's crazy when you think about it because ultimately, like there's a song and it's called Heavyweight by Evan and Eris. It's actually phenomenal. I really recommend everybody listen to it today. But she basically says like, yeah, these things really used to hurt and they really used to knock me off my ball. And it used to be a heavy weight to carry and I could not carry it. And then I became a heavyweight champion. So in that, there ain't no weight that I can't carry, period. And when you absolutely like dive into the faith as he was talking about, and you just really have it, everything seems to always fall together. Like Marcus literally be like, bro, how I don't know how, bro, you favored. I can't tell y'all how many times this man has said that to me because he's watched me go into impossible situations where I have no idea how the hell we're getting out. And then I just be cool. I'm like, you know what, bro? I'm stressing out a little bit, but you know what? It's gonna be crazy how this one work out. God gonna do something wild. Those are like my sentences that I be telling other people, but I really be telling myself to like make sure that I know. You gotta consistently remind yourself of these things. There was one point in the book where he talked about a guy who was like, if you wake up and you fill your mind with God, you will have the time of your life all day, every day. You will live presently in the moment and not think about the future. Period. You just submitted it to him. Hey, do your thing, Lord Jesus. I appreciate you. We outside. We here. You know what I'm saying? It's my other sentence. We here. It's like a saying to myself to get out of the future, get out of the past. We right here. Just really stay in tune and stay focused. So it's honestly wild because as we go through different situations, our mind gets filled up with all of the worry. It gets filled up with all the negative. And I've been this way since I can remember. Like, as I said in the thing, I'm like, bro, back in high school, I was literally spending my days praying for this man, Cameron, and for my boy, Antoine, who had been in, like, Cameron, obviously, with all the heart surgeries. My other best friend, Antoine, literally was in the hospital for basically our last 2 years of high school, going through it with his kidneys, needed a kidney transplant, didn't get one until 2 years ago, but he was just in and out. He got in 5 car accidents from the end of junior year to the end of senior year. And they were like bad. Like my man got hit by a bus in his car. You know what I'm saying? Like one of them. It was not like nothing to play with. So early on, even before that, when I can remember, as a child going and living in an abusive household where like it was bad, you know what I'm saying? We can always get into those stories if you really want to, but I don't really like opening that part up. But in that, I grew up in a crazy ass household, y'all. And what's wild is like that was my third household when I grew up. I grew up with my grandmother. She molded this faith-like person. And then all of a sudden, my grandma and my mom fell out. I didn't see my grandma. My mom married another cat, had my little brother. He was cool, but it didn't last long. It was like 2 years. From there, we moved into another apartment in a townhouse. From there, my mom met my stepdad, and my whole world changed. You know what I'm saying? When you go from people who grew up on the white side of town to people who grew up in the black side of town, there's a little bit of a difference. So in that, my whole world changed just a little bit, bro. You know the vibes. We've talked about a lot of this, but in that, as my world changed, yeah, I couldn't do anything but think about my Nana every day. Shout out her resting soul. She passed a couple years ago. But in that, even throughout those 7 years where we barely seen each other and I never really spoke to her other than when I could steal the house phone, run down to my room and just call her real quick. And we would have this little competition, be like, hey, I love you. She'd be like, I love you the mostest. I'd be like, I love you the mostest toastest. I love you the mostest toastest roastest. And we would go back and forth. And in those moments, it just brought me back to exactly what the other side of life could look like. You know, one thing that we say here a lot, exposure creates expansion. And with me as a adolescent, this is when I first learned these lessons that they're talking about in this book. Thank God I had to teach them myself, but like, thank God that he put me in position to actually learn them too, because I'd be a completely different individual. If any of you guys have met any of my siblings, I'd be like them niggas. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. If you know, you know. But in that, I literally would have turned out completely different had I not just stayed focused on the faith that life could look different going forward in the future because it was in God's hands. Shout out to my parents making me read Genesis as a punishment one day when I was lying to their ass. They made me write down, I will not tell lies 1,000 times, and then literally made me take 2 days, not do anything else over the weekend and just read the Bible. And even though I hated it every moment of that moment, you know what I'm saying? I was pissed. But I did it though. And some of those things have just been ingrained in my character from how I've grown up and how I operate, how I move. And it keeps that same childlike faith where I'm like, yo, life can look a lot different. Because now the life that I live today and the childhood that I lived, I remember praying for all of the things that I have right now. I was praying for this type of adulthood as a child because I was in an environment that was, I literally felt like I wasn't going to make it past 18 and I'd die inside of my own house, killed by somebody that I loved. So, in that, when you grow up with that fear, you have to choose faith or else you don't live, period. And when he talked about just going through all these different things that were going through faith, I was like, yo, it's crazy because I remember going through those thought processes like, okay, let me try this out. And did y'all hear about dude who literally went to church, heard of bar, took the bar and was like, babe, I need a mustard seed. You know what I'm saying? Let me get a mustard seed real quick because this shit ain't working. And I've felt like that so many different times in my life. And I thank God for the church that I go to, because even in that space, I literally get to pray with them people every Sunday. When I get up there and play the drums, it's like literally me just losing myself in worship and letting God take all the worries of this past week. And that's damn near it ain't gonna be this Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I ain't getting on the drum. Shout out Cam. But every other Sunday that I'm home, it's literally that. And so to have those spaces, like one, I'm thankful, but two, I implore you guys to create the same type of spaces inside of your own life. It's bigger than just the book club. It's cool to feel faithful on Saturday. It's cool to go to church and feel faithful on Sunday. But what about Monday? What about Tuesday? What about Thursday? Because y'all know we do value sessions on Wednesdays in Bible study. But what about Friday? All of those days, you literally need these systems in place. So in that, I've been grateful because I have a crazy system. When it comes to health, yeah, I got a person in my church. I don't know, Cam, if you've met Dan, who like walks up. He's funny as hell, older cat, kind of taller, but he'll walk up and crack some jokes. I'm willing to bet that he did it to you the first time you were there. But in that, Dan, what a lot of people don't know, Dan is like my church dad. He's one of my best friends. Dan got diagnosed with prostate cancer 2 years ago. And when that happened, like, I'm not gonna lie, because he was my first friend in the church, it low key hit me kind of hard. I didn't really let him see it, but I was like, damn, like I just lost my grandmother. Excuse me. I just lost my grandma. I just lost my other grandma. And then one of my absolute best friends that I see every Sunday that prays with me every Sunday gets diagnosed with the same thing. And I was terrified. And shout out him for teaching me exactly what this book talked about when it was talking about worry, when it was talking about life and being able to live longer. Because the doctors literally told him he had 90 days. That man's still up here cracking jokes with Cameron. You know what I'm saying? Him and Becky walk in and they serve at the church every single Sunday. They literally can't stay home because the music doesn't sound the same when they're watching it on the Facebook Live. Like these are people that literally sacrifice their health even to get up early on a Sunday and be the last two people damn near in the church. And with that, his faith has kept him on even longer. And these days, I've even just had little moments of getting a little fearful when I'm watching them like kind of hobble around or something. I'll pop a selfie and be like, damn, like, when am I gonna have to post this selfie? And like, he's not gonna be here anymore. And it scares the hell out of me. But in the book, they also talked about wanting somebody to live so bad, but also releasing them to God's will. And in that, like, if y'all have ever lost anyone, I truly believe that what I just said is literally the key to getting over the grief. And it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's hard because we all grieve careers, we grieve people, we grieve everything that we lose ultimately because we put so much emphasis on it. But in that, if you can literally get to that moment of faith where you're like, you know what? God got it. And he gonna take care of my grandmas. He gonna take care of Dan. He gonna take care of me just like he took care of me yesterday. He gonna take care of me tomorrow. And until I keep waking up, he gonna still keep taking care of me. And when I don't wake up, he gonna still take care of me. And that's the God that we serve. And when you can actually have faith in that, it makes walking through this life and all of its struggles a little bit less taxing on your soul. You know what I'm saying? You have moments where you're a little sad, yes, or you miss people, yes. But ultimately, like you will be okay because you have faith in knowing you got personal angels looking out for you. You got a God who's literally like, nigga, don't mess with my son. I'm clapping back. But here's the thing, just like when you get into it with your parents and then they don't have your back for a season, you can't get into it with God. And when you worry, you literally spit in his face because he wrote down these pages already. So you worried about what's not going to be on these pages and dripping your tears all over the pages. It's just doing nothing but ruining his book. So in that, like you really have to respect the faith that you have. You have to respect God as well. It's literally like having that fear of God as they talk about. It's not being scared of him. It's literally just understanding and really knowing like, yo, let me not mess up because he ain't playing no games and he got me. Period. So in that, literally having reverence or reverence. We talked about that on Bible study, you know, saying tune in. But in that, real quick, I'm gonna get to this book so I can stop crying. One practical step. He talked about how one, you got to empty your mind, and then two, you got to refill it with the positive things. We're all really good at emptying. I used to use weed to like literally empty my mind and then start reinforcing it with positive music and everything else. And I ain't gonna lie, I woke up today, I had a little bit of anxiety for a second because yesterday was my last day smoking. So I appreciate y'all ahead of time for holding me accountable as we move forward. Me and my boy Marcus did it together. We're really excited about this new level of growth. But in that, it's like we just want to be vitalized and we want to lean on God instead of these substances. It hits a little different when you can do that. And we do it subconsciously and consciously already. But like there's a whole nother level to going and actually really living in this life. And so we just decided to take some conscious steps, and you need spaces like this in order to do so. And for me personally, I'm grateful for even this book because it just had me realize like, even though I don't be acting like I be leaning on crutches, I be leaning on my own crutches. And so to get off of those and get up and walk, like how Jesus told the man, grab your mat and go. Like that's how I feel. And it's a whole nother level of energy. So it's lit. I'm grateful. Another thing real fast, talked about that. He just talked about those 10 things. I screenshotted all of them from each chapter, so I'm gonna save some stuff for Marcus. But in that, worry is literally a bad mental habit. You can change any habit with God's help. We talked about this low key on Wednesday in the value session as well. So in that, go catch that thing. You know what I'm saying? You might need a prayer. Go get yourself this book, little pocket prayers. I keep these things literally in my satchel. Whenever you see me running around my satchel, I got a notebook. I got this little pocket prayer book. I got my little devotions joint. So I just be moving around with my stuff. Yes, the man purse. Be outside. But what do you need?
I need a shower and you won't let go of me. You wanted your phone.
Okay, give me 1 second, Mikey. And then from there, I think I'm gonna just pass it over to Marcus because I'm smooth. Ultimately, y'all, like just have faith. That's the one thing I've been telling everybody about this book. Shout out Montanay, who hopped on earlier and heard the first four people speak as well. Literally, I was in the parent policy council meeting on Thursday night. Like, y'all, this book is absolutely amazing that I'm reading, and it's talking about things that they teach inside of my daughter's school. But ultimately, it's literally just talking about the power of positive thinking, and it literally all goes through, okay, prayer. Like just deepening your relationship with God and Jesus Christ. Like, yo, that right there, you can't find a better book, ultimately, in my opinion. And I'm grateful that we've literally spent this last year going over books that just reinforce that over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because over this last year, we've all needed the faith. So I appreciate y'all. Marcus, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you. Okay, real quick, we got a guest, y'all. Shout out
He
Kayla.
stepped away.
Here.
Hey, Kayla.
She pulled up to Minnesota to surprise Tia, so we planned this whole thing. She had a Bible verse to share with Squad real quick because she been ear hustling. So hold on.
This one, if you want to read it, and then emphasis on this.
You can definitely read
Oh, okay, cool.
it.
Okay, hi. This Bible verse is from Psalm 32, and it's verse 8. It says, "The Lord says, I will guide you along the best pathway for your life. I will advise you and watch over you." So for me, I like that because it says I will guide you along the best. It doesn't say great, it doesn't say good, it doesn't say all right, it says the best. And so God's really speaking to us and showing us that like everything else that comes into our life that's like super distracting or super difficult or the struggle is like whatever happens with that, he's still going to give us the best because we're his children. And like regardless, like he wants the best for us. And then he goes on to say even more so like he will advise us and watch over us. Like he's not going to leave us out here hanging. He's not going to leave us out here wondering what to do because he's going to give us that advice if we seek him and ask for him. So I heard Mikhail talking and I was like, let me go share this Bible verse real quick.
Let's go.
But that's all.
I appreciate the vibes. Amen. 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 Thank
Bye,
you,
y'all.
Kayla.
You have a good Saturday.
About to vibe in here today. The last thing I just want to say, y'all, is honestly a sentence at the end of chapter 11, when he was going through the list, that just literally wraps up exactly what she said. He said to just believe that for every problem, there is a solution. Period. It's got 3 letters, and that's all you need to know about the problem. And everything else, you just need to go consistently put in the work, lay out the plan, lay out the facts, actually just work it out. Because faith without works is dead. So keep it moving, keep it grooving, pay attention to your spirit, be aware of actually what's going on inside of your spirit, and move throughout life with faith rather than fear. I like Marcus, pass to you.
Boop. What up, fam? It's been dope hearing everyone's takes and perspectives on everything. It's Amani, I'm gonna give you your flowers, girl, because I know you stuck at work and you're not gonna be able to talk. So I'm gonna miss your energy today. But I appreciate everyone's energy, and I just really want y'all to know that like y'all have no idea the impact you guys make on people, regardless of whether or not you are aware of it. You guys are genuinely an answered prayer in my life. I have always wanted to be surrounded by faith-filled individuals who were bold enough and courageous enough to like live faith forward. And I just really want y'all to be aware that like y'all have impacted me so much, and you have no idea just by showing up for yourself and being accountable by growing throughout the process. And I'm grateful. I truly am. I don't take it for granted. With that being said, I feel like Sam said something very important that I think y'all should take away, especially if you have not read. And that's that you should read. You should actually spend the one-on-one time with yourself and understand the principles, because when you read, you will gain perspectives and a paradigm from the words that are on the page as you're digesting the information that you are receiving. It's really impactful, and nothing can substitute that. That's why I tell people, I don't care how many sermons you go to, I don't care how many lectures you listen to, I don't genuinely like how many stories you've heard from this person to that person, get in your word. Like it's awesome that you've been going to personal development events for 5 years, but unless you open up some of the books and gain the information and the answers that are there, it will not help you. That was literally my life for about 5 years. I'm kind of talking to my old self. Y'all have no idea. I used to go to all these events and hear all these books that they would tell me to read, and I just wouldn't read them. And it wasn't until I read the things that I was able to apply the things because it impacted me in a different paradigm than just receiving it as a lesson from somebody else. So I don't know. I could be the bad guy, but read the book. Like read the book. It's gonna do more good for you than it won't if you don't read it. And you ain't got nothing to lose other than gaining some information. Or I think that you should take it seriously. So that's the only thing I wanted to say before I dove into it. And I
Hey,
appreciate
the book is free, y'all. It's in the app and on the
and
website.
I've literally sent it to a couple of you guys via the PDF where you have the contact, whether or not you have it. So you got the book. You got the book. You better read that thing. That's all I'm gonna say. So that being said, I really wanted to touch on a couple things from these chapters because I mean y'all guys covered a lot of it. But overall, this is the scripture that I know I've shared with Roshizi. Um, Boom. She goes easy on me now. I sent it to a couple people, bro. It's not just you, girl. But um this scripture has definitely changed my life and I reference it pretty often. And this is from the book of Philippians 4:6. Do not worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. I got distracted by that comment. I don't know what that means, but it's okay.
Good,
Anyways,
Marcus. She went in the digital library and clicked on every folder except the mindset folder.
oh, that makes sense. Okay, I was like, dude, I'm confused. Okay, but anyways, that scripture means the world because it's a command. Like he tells us, do not worry. It's easier said than done. And I even find myself resorting back sometimes to anxiety or worry. But I think one of the most practical things that he gives as a suggestion throughout this process is to hold captive those thoughts and replace it. So he says, shift your negative fear thoughts to positive faith thoughts and attitude, right? Where is it at? Uh, He also says, like, never participate in a worried conversation. Shoot an injection of faith into all of your convos. And I genuinely aim to do this in every conversation because a few years ago, when I first read this book, that stood out to me resoundingly. I was surrounded by a lot of friends and a lot of people who constantly were worried or complained or had so much anxiety about their situation. And I wanted to be there for them because I cared, and I'm still like that. I just make it very, very, very clear on what the focus is in terms of the conversation. I know I've spoken about it to Ro before, but I know I've also spoken about it to Amber um, when she hired us as essentially coaches for her business. And it's the fact that, like, yo, we can chop it up about it, and I'll be an open ear as we discuss what is going on. But the next time, or by the end of this conversation, we have to switch our mindset to faith. We have to switch our mindset to solution oriented. How do we get forward from here? What is the next step that's going to help us grow? Like I know that me and Mikkel do this really efficiently now, more than we used to. I've definitely been peeping the bounce back time. But like we'll be heightening our emotions or confused about certain things, and we'll both just be like, all right, well, like we got to do something. So like what's the next move and like what are the options? And like it's so difficult because we're emotional beings, but it's possible to hold your emotions captive and set them to the side and rationally think about what's going on with the wisdom that the Spirit gives you in your faith. And I think that's possible by influencing your subconscious mind. So, Mikhail talked about practice emptying of the mind daily. And then he brings in the fact of excuse me, visualization. He's been talking about visualization for some time throughout the entirety of the book. but it's extremely important because he references the promises that are written in the Bible, right? He goes, the Bible also constantly reiterates any other great truth. That which I have greatly believed has come upon me. That's from the book of Job. It does not make that statement in so many words, and yet again and again and still again, the Bible tells us that if we have faith, nothing is impossible unto us. And according to our faith, be it done unto you. So, like, whatever you believe to be true or whatever you're focused on within your your faith in your mind is going to determine what it is you experience. Period, point blank. If you feel like there's no possible solution, there won't be. If you feel like there's an endless, unlimited amount of options, there will be. For those who know, I'm not a big show watcher. I used to be, but whenever I get into just because I know like myself, I be binging. And one of the shows that I'd be watching was Suits, and he always talks about how there's 147 different ways when you got a gun to your head to get out of it. You just have to literally think about those options, right? When your back is against the wall and you don't feel like you can go anywhere, there's over 147 different ways that you can go and plan it. I don't know if he said, I feel like the number changed all the time. Like I felt like it was like 150 and then they said like 160. But the point of the story is, what is your mental perspective and paradigm coming from? And how are you perceiving what it is that you're in? Right. And it was really cool to see the dynamic because there was like a mentor mentee business partner relationship throughout the show. And they both were reminding each other of this fact, right? The mentee learned it from the mentor. And when the mentor had multiple times of like, how the hell are we going to get through this? The mentee's like, what are you talking about? You said it yourself. We've got over 150 different ways when there's a gun pointed to our head. So overall, like, understand that worry and fear comes from you attempting to accomplish or doing everything on your own. And I'm not just talking about within an exclusion of a community or a society. I'm really talking about you attempting to do things on your own accord and your own will. Yeah, it really has. It's definitely made me realize how cold we are. Yes, I've raised my standards over the last 365. And people do look at me sideways for it, as if I am that person. And I've literally posted a reel about this, but I am. I've literally been focusing on being more shaped like the guy that I believe in, which is Jesus. And he did not know play. He did not play. In fact, I feel like there are a lot of people that are sitting at tables that they were called to flip. Like Jesus went into temples and flipped tables and was like, I do not stand for what you guys are doing. I'm not saying you need to go in there and like destroy stuff and actually flip tables. What I'm saying is you got to stand up for what is right and what you believe in. And all I know is that like I am working on fully operating in faith, right? I've always told my family, and a lot of this book and a lot of my Bible study has influenced this, but I understand the truth that faith and fear cannot exist without one another. Like they're needed. It's why throughout multiple times in the Bible, God says, do not be afraid. He never says, you will never fear, right? He says, fear the fear, do it anyways. So once you understand that faith and fear cannot exist without each other, you understand that they cannot coexist in the same space. So whatever you choose, you forfeit the other. It's a mindset, right? So if you're constantly in a state of fear, you have to remind yourself that, hey, I need to have a different paradigm of faith because I'm acknowledging how I'm feeling right now. I acknowledge and accept the situations and problems and circumstances and people that are around this current scenario and time. But I shall not succumb to my circumstances in the outward because I know my solution lies in the inward. It's a wild paradox and like principle that is extremely successful. And I'm not just talking about in business. I'm just talking about living a fulfilled life, y'all. There are people that go their whole life living what most people would consider to be under minimal, and they live the most impactful, influential, and like purpose-filled lives. Like look at Muhammad Gandhi. This man was not rocking crazy suits, billionaire mansions, yet he influenced millions of people all over the planet. To this day, his principles are still taught billions of people throughout the course of history. And it's really because of his belief. He visualized a certain calling and fulfillment, and then he pursued it relentlessly with unwavering faith. And we can't fully do that if we're overcome with fear, because if we choose fear, we're forfeiting our faith. And I really urge you guys to take it one moment at a time. I heard Charisse talk about this a little bit, and I wanted to touch on it. But I feel like worry comes from you over analyzing a future that is only determined about what you do right now. I was having a crazy intentional conversation with my sister last night, y'all. And we were talking about our struggles with sin when we're more aware of the things that we are doing that we shouldn't be doing. And this is a hard dynamic to understand as a believer because we know we're made new in Christ, but we still falter and we still fail. We still fall short of the glory. And that's why we need Jesus. We're not perfect. But what I'm saying is that when you're worried about the future or you're worried about the past, you're not focused on the intentional right now. And what's helped me overcome it, understanding that I'm going to fall, understanding that I'm forgiven, understanding that it'll all work out in my favor, is taking it literally one moment at a time. Right? My mom talked about how she prays like without ceasing almost. I feel like that's been my life over the last 5 years of just like talking to my God every second of every choice. And as I've grown, I've learned how to incorporate him with every single one of my choices in a way that I used to not at all. But that's what I love about how chapter 9 and chapter 10 kind of coincide together, because both recommend that you allow God to be a partner in your life. Now you got to understand, he's never gone. He's just there with you, and he's waiting for you to turn towards him and rely upon him. And in that process, I thoroughly understand how these principles work because I've tested them. You know what I'm saying? It's like actually real life. He says, how do you practice faith? First thing every morning before you arise out loud, 3 times, I believe. I go back and forth between 3 different things. I'm always saying, thank you, God, for today. And then I'm reminding myself, do it now, do it now, do it now, so I can get my butt out of bed. Or I'm reminding myself, charge. Those who are in our discussion of rhinoceros success, you understand that concept. But he literally says it like 3 times. I believe, I believe, I believe. Like if you thoroughly believe, you're going to forfeit your fear and your doubt and your worry, and you're going to choose to pick up the faith that he has for you. He says in number 8, surround yourself with people who think positive and faith-based thoughts. That's why I gave you guys some honor and appreciation at the beginning of the call. And then every day of your life, conceive of yourself as living in partnership and companionship with Christ. If he actually walked by your side, would you actually be worried or afraid? Well, then say to yourself, he is with me. Affirm it aloud. I am with you always. Then change it to say, he is with me now. Repeat that affirmation 3 times every day. He makes a lot of suggestions to repeat a lot. I say it all the time. God is with me. God is helping me. God is guiding me. I've been saying that for years. I wrote it down on a note card as soon as I read that as a practical practice from this book. And I think he says multiple different options because repetition is the thing that's going to help you learn. It's going to help you change what it is that you're not used to changing. So shifting that negative fear allows you to really eliminate the worry and anxiety because you believe you can, and you believe that God is there for you. In terms of solving personal problems, he suggests that we need divine guidance, and I suggest that you don't think that you can go without it either. It's something that is necessary, and there's just things that we cannot fathom of this planet because he moves beyond our understanding. He says, practice believing and conceiving God as a partner, that God is as real and actual as your wife, your husband, or your business partner, or your closest friend. Practice talking matters over with him. Believe that he hears and gives thought to your problem. Sometimes people feel like they're not being heard because they don't receive an answer, even though God's silence is an answer. Like he wants you to sit with that, or he wants you to understand something that you might feel like is beyond your comprehension, but you might not be just thinking about or receiving fully. So don't believe that in these solutions there will be no error, but that you will be guided to actions according to truth, which results in the right outcomes. I want to repeat that. All right. So a little further, he says, assume that he impresses upon your mind through consciousness the proper ideas and insights necessary to solve your problems. Assume that he impresses upon your mind through consciousness the proper ideas and insights necessary to solve your problems. Definitely believe that in these solutions there will be no error, but that you will be guided to actions according to truth, which results in right outcomes. Sam said it best. The work is the work. Action is action, right? Preparing and planning for the action is not action or the work. It's the actual work. And I tell people you are better off, like ignorance on fire is better off than knowledge on ice. If you have unwavering belief and you trust in a God who is right next to you to make a way when there seems to not be one, you will do things that you don't do when you're caught up in your mind, worried about outcomes that haven't even happened yet, worried about opinions or thoughts from people who are not going to help you grow or pay your bills. There's a lot that comes with understanding that your life has been anointed only if you allow it to be. Like one of the best blessings that we got from Jesus dying for us is an ability to communicate and have a relationship with God. That's what the gospel teaches. That's what I believe in. In the process, if you believe that as well, then you will focus on developing a relationship, which requires intimacy, which requires you speaking to him without cease. Right? People hear the word prayer and they get intimidated because you don't know how to pray, or it's been a long time and you feel like he won't listen. But all he asks is that you pick up the phone. Well, I used to tell people this all the time, and I still train on it whenever we're growing our business through the industry of network marketing. But y'all make it way too complicated. Like just unlock your phone, hit the contact number, and then press the green button and talk. Like everything else you're thinking about is irrelevant. And that's the same that goes with God. Like you are filtering out truth in your brain with your own clouded thoughts rather than just speaking to him so that you understand what it is, right? You cannot separate what is truth or what isn't the truth if you're not in this thing. I really believe that. If you allow your brain to understand what this thing says, then you know what's truth and you know what isn't, and you can line yourself accordingly. And that's why he says, believe that in these solutions there will be no error, but that you will be guided to actions according to truth. Right? You will be guided to do specific things based on the principles that is not false and that will last throughout eternity. Right? That's why Jesus says, I am the truth, the light, and the way. And the living truth of God is the word. It's living and it's truth. It's going to last for eternity, not just in this temporary of what we see now. It's why it has stood the test of time. So yeah, that God partnership method has definitely changed my life. He says in Matthew chapter 9:29, according to your faith be it unto you. The requirement is faith and is directly in proportion to the faith that you have and use will give you results. I wrote in my notes, small faith, small results. Big faith, big results. It's as simple as that. If you believe you're capable of the bare minimum, you will receive the bare minimum. Period, point blank. If you believe that you are capable of more than you can imagine, then God will deliver in a way that you can't even fathom. It's spiritual principles. You cannot deny them, right? If you don't like the rules, develop your own planet, and then you can create it the way you want. But we were born here, so we've got to figure it out, and then we've got to follow and abide by them. Boom. Okay, yeah. So last thing I'm gonna say is on that is allow the Almighty God in all your thoughts, in all your circumstances, in all your situations, in all your decisions. Seek first the kingdom of God, and everything will be given unto you. So I believe what that states for me in my life, and I hold it as a non-negotiable, is that God is number one priority, which means I do not push God aside. He is my number one. Instead of trying to fit him in my schedule, I surround my schedule around him. Like to the moment I wake up, like I hate waking up early. I'm not a morning person. I love to be up late. It's just how I be. I worked at a graveyard shift, you know what I'm saying? So also my circadian rhythm and how I be sleeping is just messed up for a while. But I force myself to get up early so that I can give him my first portion of the day. It's something that I've never done before as frequently as I've done over the last couple of years. And it's completely changed who I am, how I perceive things, how I act. And it's just, I get a little emotional because I get overwhelmed with how good he is and like how he works. Because it's wild, y'all. I don't know. Like even when I feel I'm not doing enough, like he'll remind me through conversations and people who come my way on how I've helped carry out his plan and his mission. And that's just to bring people closer to him. I don't know. This week, I had about 5 different people reached out to me saying that they need God or they're attempting to get back into him. And that I was the first person they thought of. They just wanted some understanding and some advice on where to start or what to do. So I prayed over them, heard them, listened to what was going on, and I did the best I could to provide what's helped me. And honestly, y'all, God continuously gets in tune every second of every day. And it's really helped me grasp that faith properly understood and applied is a powerful factor, not just in life, but like in chapter 11, he talks about how to use it in his healing. There are 2 star sections I'm going to read from chapter 11 because I don't know if everybody read, but they definitely have shaped my mindset as we move forward. Shout out my mom and shout out all you guys talking about his miracles because he's the same as he was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He's never changing and he's always there, which means the miracles he's performed and the miracles he's done, he's going to continuously do. It's just his nature. It says on page 139, a sensible and effective pattern for health and happiness is to utilize the skills and methods of medical science to the fullest possible extent, and at the same time, apply the wisdom, the experience, and the techniques of spiritual science. There is impressive evidence to support the belief that God works through both the practitioner of science, the doctor, and the practitioner of faith, the minister. Many physicians join in this point of view. I read that when I was in an ER. You know what I'm saying? As my mom said, I am a science head through and through. I worked in the medical industry. I understand how the mindset and psychology actually affects your overall health. What I want people to recognize is that science and faith are not separate. It literally takes faith principles to understand science. Like scientists are some of the biggest practitioners of faith is what I wanted to say. Like they have to use the faith muscle to prove certain theories and thoughts that may not have all of the conclusive evidence that proves that to be true, but they have faith that it is. It's the same principle. And it's because science was there to help explain and show us how God really operates and works, right? I was always taught that science shows us how the world works, how life works. But when I dove further into my own studies within my faith and within science, I saw that it was describing how God is literally amongst everything that is living and orchestrates everything around us. So please, if y'all got people in y'all's family like that struggle with trying to go see the doctor or, or taking some medication or they feel some type of way, 1000% number one answer should be praying and having faith. But like use the wisdom and understand that like God gave these intelligent people the ability to solve problems in health, to create regimens and curriculums that allow for sustainability and vitality long term in your life. Right? I think COVID kind of messed a lot of people up, especially with like the talk of the vaccines. I'm not going to get into none of that. But what I'm going to say is God developed wise and intelligent people, and he uses everybody for our good. Every good thing that happens, every evil thing that happens, allows that to grow, and they correspond hand in hand. So when you have family in those health issues, or you yourself find yourself in them, like understand that God has the ability to heal, and bring that faith and that prayer into your appointments, into your health regimen, into your diet, into your working out, so that you can provide a temple for, or you can take care and steward over the temple that God has given you while you're on earth. There's so many factors that come into play here, but it's really understanding that they're not separate. You've got to understand that the relationship is tied, and you have the power to actually continuously move forward with that. The last part I'm going to read is, I think, the most powerful one. He said in a paragraph, he goes, in all the investigations I have made into successful cases of healing, there seems to be certain factors present. First, and like I really want y'all to know, like I think of healing in more of just than these medicinal or these health defects. It's also like healing from traumas, healing from an inability to forgive or holding on to resentment, a ability to be healed from hurt and pain. He says, first, a complete willingness to surrender oneself into the hands of God. As my guy Cam said, let go and let God. Second, a complete letting go of all error, such as sin in any form, and a desire to be cleansed in the soul. I'm going to repeat this last one. Second, a complete letting go of all error, such as sin in any form, and a desire to be cleansed in the soul. I said earlier, we all fall short of the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ, which means you're going to continuously fall, and everything that has been done, everything that you're going to do, God already knows. You've got to fully believe that you are forgiven, and you got to fully believe that he loves you in the way that he promises. Once you do, you can let go. So for those that have been feeling shame and guilt and frustration and annoyance, just know like I'm on the same page as you. I've felt that as well. What has helped me get over that is to understand that that is a lie from the world and from the devil, and I rebuke it. So even if I feel that I tainted my baptism or I tainted my faith walk by going back to old habits or ways of thinking, I've got to know that it is my heart that God analyzes, that Jesus looks at, and he really pays attention to our intention. I think Myron Golden said it one time, right? But intention feeds intention. So if you intentionally do things on purpose for a purpose, then you can be sanctified and made more like him throughout your process in your walk. That has helped me something serious getting over this feeling of I've let myself and my family down, or I've let God down and he's not going to be able to look past this because I keep doing it over and over again, or I am not fully abiding or actually in tune with what people are at, what God is asking me to. Therefore, I miss my mark. All of that are lies. You just got to be in tune with what God believes. And then third, Belief and faith in the combined therapy of medical science and harmony with the healing power of God. Fourth, a sincere willingness to accept God's answer, whatever it may be, and no irritation or bitterness against his will. That's such a big one, y'all. I could spend an hour talking about that. But fourth, a sincere willingness to accept God's answer, whatever it may be, and holding no irritation or bitterness against his will. If you ain't get that job or that house you wanted, it's because it's his will. You can't be irritated or frustrated about it. And I remind myself of that truth every single day. And then the last, he said, fifth, a substantial, unquestioning faith that God can heal. Period, point blank. Choosing to surrender, having the absence of worry, resentment, and tension gives you an ability to experience what he describes in like the last pages as the joy. If you can reside in the faith and joy that comes within the spirit, then all things are going to work out for our favor and we're going to be set up for success long term. Boom. Let me see. I think this is it. So last thing I'm going to say is visualization is so powerful, and what we believe in the subconscious, we usually get. Shout out my mentor, Mr. Steele. I always was aware of the subconscious mind, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just because I studied it a lot. I knew about it. I did not know how to influence it, right? My guy helped me go from understanding how to tap it to getting into it. And what most people fail to recognize is that you can consciously build your subconscious habits up until the point where you no longer have to think about it anymore. My first default is to have faith in God rather than worry about my circumstances, because for years I had to repeat scripture in my conscious mind. I had to repeat that in this season, this too shall pass, that he will provide for me. He is with me. He never forsakes me, that he who starts a good work within me will see it through to its completion. I remind myself of these promises, but I continuously had to do that so that subconsciously I go about my day with a sense of authority and understanding. Even though I might be confused on what's going on in my life, I hold on and am on solid ground because of what he's done and continues to do. And I believe that you guys have the power to do the exact same thing. So take your habits and take some of these practices from the end of these last few chapters. And like, I pray that you guys literally implement those practices over this week. I challenge y'all. Like, do 2 or 3 things that it said that you haven't done, and put them into place on the Mondays, on the Tuesdays, on the Thursdays, on the Fridays, so that you can actively see the fruit of the new activity and action that you put in your life. But I appreciate y'all listening to my rant. I just wanted to get intentional and let y'all know about some things that you would have only caught if you actually got into reading it. And I wanted y'all to hear them. But next week, we're going over chapter 12, 13, and 14. And keep it moving on as we start out the month of March. I appreciate you guys being in tune and locked in as long as y'all have. And I am grateful for y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all Saturday. Make the most of your first of the month. I'll talk to y'all soon. God bless. See y'all at the top. By the way, to God. Peace, y'all.
Don't forget to pay rent.
Facts.